Hi, so today I'm going to be talking about being visibly disabled in public. Primarily the fact that I'm a wheelchair user and people tend to see me as needing help. So, for those who don't know, I use a wheelchair. Generally, when I'm out in public, I go to work in my wheelchair, I go to the mall in my wheelchair. Pretty much anytime I'm not at home, I'm in my wheelchair. Um, and it gets it gets beyond annoying to just want to go about your day as a disabled person without people insisting that you need help, um like, so at work on my breaks I tend to go outside and I smoke my little vapor cigarette thing. I vape, okay, don't even give me shit. But I smoke my cigarette. I sit outside on the sidewalk. It's like I go outside, take a turn, and on the side of the building, I sit out there and I smoke my cigarette. Okay, I vape or whatever, and I'm always in my wheelchair when I do it. So I work 3 to 4 shifts a week too, and so basically what that means is that at least once a week I will be sitting outside, vaping, looking on my phone, minding my own fucking business, and at least twice a week, I will have somebody who comes, who gets out of their car and goes to head into the store, and they stop. And they ask me, "Do you need help? Can I help you? Are you okay?" Yes, I'm fine. What makes people think I need help? I don't understand that. I don't know what makes people think that just because I'm in a wheelchair, I need assistance. And outside of that, there's just people, able-bodied people just have no sense of boundaries when it comes to somebody in a wheelchair. Like for instance, I was going at my store. We have a little walkway that goes from the street down into the parking lot, and it's a little steep, but I can make it just fine. I do it all the time. And for some fucking reason, a couple of months ago, I was making my way up the ramp, and a guy goes, "Oh, here, let me help you with that." And he leaves the curb and he comes down to me and he just grabs the handlebars on my wheelchair and starts pushing me without my permission. He never asked. He just did it. And that's something that happens an awful lot when you're a wheelchair user. Outside of that, I had it happen when I was heading to Domino's. I was going up the curb and some guy goes, "Oh, let me help you with that." And he grabs my handlebars and starts shoving me into the UPS store, which is not where I was going. So he starts shoving me into the wrong store without asking if I needed help. And one time I was at Target, cashing out, and the woman behind me hung her fucking handbag on the handlebar of my wheelchair. Like, what the fuck? I mean, I understand that in general people are trying to be helpful, but you can't just grab a person's wheelchair and start pushing them without asking. It's beyond rude, and it's basically the same thing as, running up to somebody from behind, picking them up, and running off with them. It's not okay. It's uncomfortable. It's rude. It's invasive. I can't stand the fact that people fucking do this all the time, but that's kind of what happens when you are disabled in public. If you are visibly disabled in public. Now, it's different when you're riding the bus or whatever, because I've ridden the bus before. Currently, I ride the bus in a wheelchair, but before I was riding the bus in crutches, and this was up in Boston. So remember that the buses in Boston tend to get kind of full. They get busy, And I was standing there on my crutches because nobody gave up their seat for the person on fucking crutches, And so I'm standing there on crutches trying not to fall over, and we get to a stop, and a bunch of people get off. And there was one free spot in the priority seating, and I went to go grab it. But this able-bodied guy with a kid, snatched up his kid, and he ran over and he snatched the seat before I could get to it. And that's a thing that happens too, is that like when you're riding public transport and you're visibly disabled, if you're using mobility aid, people will either be kind enough to give up their seat, which is not very common, or they are such big assholes that they will take the seat instead. And then they'll sit there and like lower their head and refuse to talk to you. They refuse to look at you, rather. They won't make eye contact because they know what they're doing is shitty. So they just won't make eye contact, And that's just something that people do. I don't know why. Like, that there's a disabled person in front of you who needs this seat. And instead you just say, fuck it, I'm gonna go ahead and take this seat anyway, because fuck you, I guess? I don't know. But, I mean, being visibly disabled in public is such a huge hassle, and, I mean, I just wish people would be more decent about it, I would think it's common sense to not snatch somebody's wheelchair and start pushing them, that's what I would think, but apparently not. And so I guess this is kind of a PSA that if you see a disabled person, it's perfectly acceptable to ask, do you need help, if they look like they're struggling? Like, if you see somebody trying to get up a curve and they can't make it, feel free to ask. But if you see somebody just sitting around smoking a cigarette and playing on their phone, why would you ask if we need help? Just because we're disabled? Like, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Able-bodied people are exhausting. Able-bodied people really are exhausting. So, I guess that's it for now. So, thanks for watching, and please take my words to heart. Come on. So we're gonna say bye-bye. Bye!